Hello, welcome to, hold on. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, at the top Mojo ones, I did kind of get through Josh's channel. I found Miss Mojo, a video, like, kind of, I don't know if I saved that one, but I just went through and like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go check this channel to see if ones I want to do, went to Mojo, even though I have done some Mojo stuff before, so either way, I could have gotten to the channel, so it really didn't matter, but I just want to put that out there. But yeah, there's this, and then again, there is Adventure Time Explained. I want to do this. Let me know what you guys want me to do. If you are okay with watching it fully, I can do all of it, or I can do 30 minutes, part 1, part 2, kind of thing. Oh, it's going to be about, especially if I add these two, it's going to be about, these are unrelated to this, but still short. So, I'd throw them in there, but that would add about an hour and 51 minutes or so. But yeah, let me know what you guys wanted me to do.
It's a story about people trying to save the universe through songs.
Mr. Universe.
But if we shift the perspective from Steven Universe himself and instead focus on Greg, Mr. Universe DeMeo, and oh my god, there's a lot of universes, then it becomes a story of finding the love of your life only for her to literally turn into your son. Then your son becomes a superhero, essentially, and then somehow convinces an eons-old empire to chill out, all while you sit there, somehow never use sun cream, and become a millionaire. But to imagine that, let me just put you in his shoes. So imagine for a minute that you are Greg DeMeo, also known as Mr. Universe. You grew up in a relatively militant household, but you accidentally listened to a copyright-safe version of David Bowie, and as such, you had bigger and more grander ideas. You were going to become a musician. So early on, you left your house, got on the road, adopted the moniker Mr. Universe, and met a guy who promised you the world. Some slick agent from the city called Marty. The problem is that you are a man of simple taste. You are not in the music business for the money. If you were about the money, you would have stayed in your family, cozied up to your uncle or something, and tried to inherit his mansion. What you're actually trying to do is just invoke the same childlike wonder in others as you did when you first heard the Mr. Universe song. Never mind that this agent was actually actively trying to screw you out of money at every stage and control your life and entire career. But you don't like people who control others, and you especially hate people who try to control you. And everything changed one day when you were playing a gig to quite literally nobody, but actually no, there was someone there, a giant girl with a pink hair and a really strange belly button piercing. But she actually seems to really vibe with your music, and you like that. You like that a lot. So you do whatever sane and rational person does when confronted with the potential love of their life. You ditch your budding music career and go on after her instead. Turns out though, she wasn't actually a human, despite looking like one. But her form is a manifestation of light or something, and each one of these things that she has around her has a form that they can change at will, and if they get hurt they just turn into a gem, and each one has a weapon. Yeah, okay, that's just magic stuff. You don't care about magic stuff. All you care about is that for the first time in your life, you finally feel like you're at home. You finally understand what those gooey romance songs were all about.
You're everything I want.
But this girl is like a cult leader or something, because she has a hold on these other manifestations of light. Like, she's so charismatic and wonderful that she has somehow convinced all of these unchanging gems to love her so much that they would actually give up their places in this world and go against their unbiological programming. Almost just like you did. But honestly, it's kind of hot that she's like this super cool revolutionary, because it kind of makes you feel a bit special, to be honest, that in all of the world, in all of the universe, apparently, she loves you and chose you, and you chose her. You even get to play music with her. Kinda get a little bit obsessive actually, but that's because you never thought someone so incredible could ever love someone like you. Living with her is interesting to say the least. She has absolutely no idea how humans function. She lets a baby climb a Ferris wheel and went on and on and on about how she didn't know what babies were. Gems are weird, man, and her friends, okay, they're alright. Pearl was a bit uppity and a bit possessive about Rose for some reason, almost like she loves her or something. Garnet is just quiet, and Amethyst is probably the only half normal one. At least she eats. That's the only thing she does that's human. But one day, Pearl tells you that you are just a phase. I'm sorry, and that Rose only likes you because you are a human. So you try to fuse with her so that you can show her that you're just like a gem. But then you start to see it. She's patronizing you at every turn. It's almost like she doesn't actually love Greg Universe the person, but Greg Universe as a human. And it kind of breaks your heart. You really thought this was your first adult relationship. Good lord, she is thousands of years old. You thought she'd at least be a little mature by now.
You really are an alien.
They do things differently, and for this relationship to work, you both need to meet in the middle. But after that chat, you start to realize that this is probably pretty serious. So you opt to get a job in a car wash. It doesn't pay much, but at least it pays the bills, and it means you can live close to Rose and her friends while they go off and do gem stuff, whatever that is. And the years pass in bliss. You really fall for her almost as much as your hair falls out, and you couldn't possibly imagine your life without her. And luckily for you, she's immortal or something, so you know there's no real risk of losing her. She confides everything in you. With the war against gems and Homeworld, it's all stuff you don't really understand. It's way above your pay grade, but
The past is the past. All that matters to me is who you are now.
then one day she gets in her head that she wants a child. A half-human, half-gem child. How is that going to work? You have no fucking idea. The mechanics of it are extraordinarily unclear. But hey, you don't mind because you are getting some freaky alien strange on the regular. But it changes. She tells you something. To have this child, she needs to give up her form or something. And to find out this is going to happen, you're now going to have to give up your love to have a child, which is kind of pure torture. She does say that she'll come back and that your child would just be an...
I mean, if you think about it, in some cases, even with humans, this happens. Because there are some people that don't make it out of birth and die giving birth to mothers. So, in some sense, some mothers don't make it when their child is born.
Another version of her, which is sweet and nice and everything, but it means that she'll be gone, and that's not good. So you record 2 videos in event of a boy or a girl, but despite your heavy heart, it's what she wants, and that's okay. You can do this for her because that's what real love is, doing things for other people even if it costs you everything. Sometimes you have to make a sacrifice for the people that you love. So you go through this pregnancy. It's fearful, you have hesitation, but you never show it because you don't want her to worry about it. And the day comes that you are gifted Stephen, a beautiful baby boy whom you cherish with your whole heart. You were assured that the gems were going to help you, but they didn't actually seem to understand what a child is, let alone a human one.
Are these adult diapers?
And this breaks you. You've lost your love, and now you are forced to be a single dad to a half-alien baby, all while these gem things keep talking about diamonds who want to take over the universe. Who cares about the universe when Stephen is the only universe that matters? You don't want a perfect life. You just want one where you're happy. And over the years after Stephen is born, the hostility between you and the gems grow. And it's probably because they thought that Stephen wouldn't be a completely different person. They probably thought that he was gonna just pop out as a tiny little rose or something. And you can't blame them. They're gems. They do gem stuff. They know gem stuff. They don't even know what being a human is.
It's not natural for us.
because of all this, you fall out with Amethyst. You fall out with all of them, actually. The only person who treats you with any respect is Garnet. But after a while, Stephen goes to live with them, which is fine, because the van was getting a little bit cramped. And it would be nice for Stephen to be with his family and learn this magic stuff. And you feel a small amount of pride there. Your son is a magical alien person who will fight for the world, defend the world. It's just a shame that there's still so much hostility between you and the gems. Years go by and Steve learns all this gem stuff. It's good, but you are watching your kid grow up from afar. His world is just so different from anything you could possibly imagine. And you are like the only human that could understand this because you were the one that was in love with them. But you have to learn to accept that your lover is gone, and now your son is just living a completely different world. But at the very least, you can just be there for Stephen, no matter what. Steve does actually get his powers and goes on a few relatively harmless adventures. He even blows up a giant eye thing in the sky with some cannon bob. It did unfortunately come with Stephen turning himself into a cat blob, which was weird. You don't really understand how that happened, but it got fixed. But then something really bad happens. The entire world's water gets sucked up into space by some water-bending gem, and it's up to the gems to fix it. But you end up tagging along this time, and your son lets it slip that this is normal. Normal! Like, before you had a vague sense of what was happening, but now you have to confront the very reality of the situation.
I'm not sure how comfortable I am with you going on these anymore.
Your son is perpetually putting himself in harm's way, and the thought of losing Stephen is the most terrifying thing in the world. Because if you lose Stephen, you also lose Rose. Again. But then you also realize that's controlling. You have to let Stephen be his own person, and he does actually manage to talk the waterbender down. So you put a pin in it, let Stephen do gem stuff, and if he needs you, you will be there for him. And life relatively goes back to normal. Normal's a strong word. You did try to force yourself into their lives by pretending you had a broken leg, which is completely wrong in every way, but it was your first chance in years to really spend time with your son when the world wasn't in danger. But it's just so tough between you and the gems, and you find a tape in a garage and you have this whole thing between you and Amethyst, and okay, for the first time in a long time you realize they are just grieving as much as you are. Probably even more so. They knew her for thousands of years. And Amethyst just needs someone there for her just as much as you do. But the situation now gets a little bit better, a little bit brighter. You kind of understand where they're coming from, so at least you can more or less accept all of the problems that you're experiencing. But then something seriously awful happens. Even more homeworld gem stuff keeps happening. You end up telling Stephen all about the gem war, which wasn't your place, to be honest, but he deserves to know. And Stephen and the gems have this big old fight and actually completely beat off these homeworld gems. And you are super jazzed about it. Your son saved the world. Yes, he has a little black eye because of it, but that's okay. That's just what happens. But that's not actually what happened. Stephen and the gems didn't save the world. And now more gems are coming to Earth to try and kill Stephen. Your biggest fears are now realized. Stephen is in very real existential danger, and you are completely powerless. But you can't do anything. You can't control Stephen and tell him what he can do. You want Stephen to be his own person. You want him to do his own stuff. But you also do have that paternal drive to want Stephen to live in this world with you. And now he's telling you that there is a fusion rampaging in the ocean held down by one gem who was previously an enemy. Like, how are you supposed to feel okay about this? It feels like the whole world could literally end at any moment, and the only thing holding it together is your teenage child who isn't actually holding anything together at all. But your son, he does end up in love with a girl, which is honestly just adorable. You went on a little mission with her a little while ago, and you kind of expected it, but what you didn't expect was them to learn to sword fight and then become a 6-foot-tall person, saying they're a fusion of Stephen and Connie. And at this point, that's pretty par for the course, honestly. So, Stephen confused with humans. And
well, I mean, it would make sense for him to fuse with humans since he is technically half human.
And yes, that reminds you of trying to fuse with Rose or something you were never actually able to do. But then, again, you have to confront this reality that you are alone. You only have your car wash and your wistful memories of your music career, and you have a son who is living a very incredibly bizarre life where he can become his girlfriend and fight powerful creatures that could destroy humanity in a heartbeat. Actually, you find out later on down the line that Steven and that one that tried to kill him and take him back to Homeworld are actually chums now, which is something you have to grapple with. And that blue one that sucks up all the water is also a friend now, sort of. So you have to do what any decent human being would do when trying to help two people that had previously tried to murder your child. You give them your family's barn. But this is your world now, to watch enemies become friends, to watch people who tried to kill your child become his allies. But hey, maybe if you're nice to them, maybe they won't try to destroy the world again. Anyway, you find out a bit later that your old manager actually sold your best song as an advert. And now you are filthy, filthy rich, which is a surprise to be sure, but it's not as if it makes your life any less weird or lonely or really changes anything, although people do keep asking you if you're going to buy sun cream now. But Steven is still a gem, and you are still a human. Yes, you have millions of dollars now, but your son is now fighting godlike space dictators. How can you be useful? Still, it is nice to think that your music is being appreciated and that your talents haven't been completely wasted. And Steven and you decide to go on this trip, but he wants to take Pearl along.
Let's bring Pearl.
What?
Which is not something you're particularly warm to. Pearl is like that one gay friend who is desperately in love with their straight best friend, and you were the straight best friend's partner. Plus, you don't really ever think that she accepted Rose leaving, and she blames you for it. Honestly, it must be hard to reconcile. Gem emotions, especially ones like Pearl, move slowly, and they probably just don't understand grief all that well.
Pearl, and don't forget Mom.
Sometimes your boy is the most tone-deaf creature in all of history. But you guys have this charming weekend getaway in Empire City. You get to flash your cash for the first time in your life. But it's all cut short when you try to dance with Pearl. And as a consequence, she doesn't come back. So you guys go to sleep. But you are very quickly awoken by Pearl singing to herself a heartbreaking song about her love for Rose and how much she misses her. And you then have to confront the idea that you ruined a thousands-year-long relationship. Yeah, you have Steve now, and Pearl loves Steve more than anything. But she lost Rose, just like you lost Rose. And these feelings for her are probably impossible to quantify. Rose gave up herself, gave up Pearl, gave up the entire Crystal Gem life because she wanted to have Steven. And that only happened because you met her. How are you supposed to feel about that? How can anyone feel about that? No wonder she hates you. You stayed, you took Rose from her, and now Rose is gone. And while you mull over some cherries, you mourn the fact that you did this. There is no amount of money in this world that you can spend to make this better. This fancy hotel and bar is just a reminder that now all you have is dollar bills and a broken heart. Oh, great, you have to deal with this situation. And Steven is quite on the nose with the music choice this time.
Why don't you talk to each other?
But it turns out she wasn't actually upset with you staying, but that Rose loved you instead of her. Which actually makes you think you and her both loved the same person. That same beautiful, strange, stubborn... Pearl actually might be the only person in this world who truly understands you.
It's over, isn't it? It's over, isn't it?
Anyway, the gem stuff progresses. Steven causes a restaurant war, and you get to take out a fancy yacht with the blue girl out to sea, which summarily sunk, but that's okay, it's only money. At least you tried to make her life a bit better. But things get quite intense. There's a lot more talk about diamond stuff, much more corrupted gem stuff, and more visitors from Homeworld. Steven even gets lost after a trip to the moon, all while you're just there trying to keep your shit together. But your relationship with the gems actually does improve dramatically. Rather than seeing you as some byproduct of Stephen and a permanent scar of their loss and grief, they now start to see you as a friend, which you appreciate because you do not want to actually come between Stephen and the gems. It's important that Stephen leads his own life and this is his family. Surprisingly, your cousin comes back, and that's just a doozy. Your cousin barely recognizes you and is upset that you're giving your family farm to aliens. You're not giving your family farm to aliens, you're giving your family farm to new family. It's a bit messed up and weird, and you are reminded about your life, where you've gone, where you've been, all of the things that have happened to you. None of it makes any sense, but this gem stuff is now your life, and you love that. You truly believe that you are a part of Stephen's life, rather than just his dad on the sidelines. Only there when they have to interact with you because they pity you or something. No, now you are almost like a gem yourself, but a human gem, offering human advice when they need it. And that's the point. You are a human elder. You have the human touch. They might have 10,000 years. You have human wisdom, something Garnet doesn't even have. But then Steve has this weird dream and tears don't stop flowing from his eyes, and he wants to go to Korea.
But the gems won't tell me anything about it. It has something to do with Pink Diamond.
Well, seeing an opportunity, you realize having this money thing is kind of cool, and you can go see the world, including apparently going to Korea on a whim. Though, instead of buying a first-class ticket, you opt for a biplane, because if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it right. And Korea is amazing. You have the time of your life, because it's probably one of the first times you've ever left the country. But then you run into the blue palanquin, which is a bit concerning, but nowhere near as concerning as running into the 30-foot tall giant blue woman and talking to them. She calls you an it, which is disconcerting, but this is a diamond, so it's probably very clear that she has no concept of what a biological living creature is and sees you as an object. Probably the gems don't even know what a man is because all of them are women. But it seems like she's grieving, so you lay down some human empathy, because if there's one thing that Greg Universe is good at, is empathizing with others.
She's never coming back. That feeling can be so hard to be okay with.
But she lets it slip that there's some intense geo-weapon that's going to destroy the... Hang on a second, what the fuck? And then she kidnaps you! You just found out the world's going to end and then she kidnaps you. All you wanted to do was make her feel heard or feel safe or whatever, and that someone understands her, but now you're getting whisked away to God knows where. Turns out, it's a human zoo, and it was once owned by the Pink Diamond. But it's like this utopia thing where all of the humans' needs are taken care of and where everyone loves each other. It's kind of cool. But it's also weird how they've lived on this thing for thousands of years and still speak English. Actually, it's kind of weird that all the gems speak English, now that you think about it, but it's cool. Apparently you're not in any danger, and probably at some point Stephen will come and get you out, so all you have to do is sit back and enjoy the ride. Now, what do you think about it? Is this what it means to do gem stuff, to just be whisked away in interstellar travel and be in a place that you never even conceived of its existence? And Stephen appears.
Stephen! My little...
And then they do this ceremony.
The choosening will start soon.
But it turns out this choosening thing is just arranged and forced marriage. And you kind of thought, honestly, this is going to be some kind of like orgy fiesta. But no, it's something you actually cannot abide by. People should make their own decisions for themselves, be responsible for their own actions, do what they want to do and live authentic lives. That's what's important. That's why you loved Rose, why you loved Stephen, why you loved the gems. Because they are themselves. They are authentic beings.
Thanks so much for coming to get me. That has to be like the third craziest weekend I've ever had.
Luckily, you somehow all escaped through some magical bullshit and get home. Now it seems that Stephen's friend Lars is a kind of space captain. Okay. And seriously, by this point, your relationship with the gems is frankly unbelievable. I honestly don't know if you're better or worse for it. And then Stephen's other friend Sadie starts a band, and you quite like the sound of it. And considering your vast wealth and knowledge of music, you can actually help them out here. Decide that maybe being a gem isn't much for you, and you should start focusing on how you can help other humans. So that's what you do for a few months. But you find out that Rose was actually Pink Diamond, and reconciling that was challenging because you just spent time in Pink Diamond Zoo, so that means Rose had human pets, and maybe she even told you this before, but you were too busy being in love with her to understand what it actually meant. But now you do. Now you met a diamond. Now you saw her legacy, understand what that all means. Stephen is a diamond.
True.
Stephen is related to giant psychopathic rulers of the universe. Your son is technically a ruler of the universe. But one good thing does come of all of this. Garnet and Ruby have a falling out and end up getting married. It's so cute to watch them understand how love changes and how people can grow, be independent, and still be happy. Before, they were codependent, bordering on toxic with how they were literally fused at the hip. But now their relationship is so much more meaningful and beautiful because they are individuals that choose each other rather than an individual. It's all ruined when the diamonds appear and take Stephen away.
It's you, Pink.
But that's gem stuff, and honestly at this point, Stephen can look after himself. He is a diamond, he doesn't need you. You will be there if he ever needs it, but you won't worry about it because Stephen has proven himself to be more than capable of handling any situation and befriending literally anyone. White Diamond doesn't even stand a chance. And a melon appears, a Stephen melon, asking for help. No worries, Greg Universe is to the rescue. And you sort it all out, and not a few days later, the diamonds appear. Because of course they do, because your son is one of the greatest beings that has ever lived. And now you know why Rose had a child, why Rose gave up her life for him to exist. Because she knew that with you and your mentality and your humanness, he needed you as a father to teach him the human ways, your human ways, where you ask for nothing, you expect nothing, you try to help where you can, and you always do what you think is right and treat people with kindness. You accept people just for being themselves and to allow others to be individual, because being an individual is the divine beauty of humanity. Something that gems didn't understand. For them, to be a gem is to be fixed in a collective. But Rose challenged all that, and then Stephen challenged all that. And with you and Rose as his parents, he really did change the world. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. This was Alexander Colburn's video idea for his membership perk. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you for your patience as well, mate. Like, honestly, I really appreciate you being patient with me. I know this one took me a long time, but yeah, I understand I probably missed a lot, and I understand that probably some really hardcore Steven Universe fans probably like, why didn't you include this? Why didn't you include that? Because originally this script was like fucking 7,000 words, so I had to cut it down to get it to a palatable length. So I just covered what I thought was like the main and like what I thought was important. Anyway, I just want to shout out my members real quick, especially good old Granite, Alexander Colburn, and of course Lavender, Zala, Toasted Bread, and Alan. Thank you. Have a great day.
Well, that was a roller coaster of emotions. Well, not for, you know what I mean, but that was just like, yeah. If you think about it, that's crazy though. Never really thought about it from his perspective. I haven't seen the full Steven Universe as well. So, some of that probably spoilers, but at the same time I don't really care because, you know, I've seen it in a while and I want to watch it. So yeah, it's very interesting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video.